This is an M4A1 carbine. This is a Beretta M9 pistol. And this is a .38 special revolver.
Oh.
These are all American-made firearms. And even though they're not the most sophisticated weapons in the world, they can still be deadly if used correctly. You know how people say that behind every great man is a woman who keeps his shoes polished? Well, behind every great mobster is a whole warehouse of guns. Lots of them Tommy guns, and even some rocket launchers. But what really makes these guns effective isn't the fact that they can shoot straight, or that they have silencers attached to them. What really makes them useful for a mobster is the simple fact that they're scary as hell. A gun is only useful if it can kill somebody with authority. And nothing says "do not mess with me" quite like an M401 with a silencer attached to it. Let's take a look at how the Mafia uses fear to control the world. Welcome to my channel. The Mafia got its start in Sicily, Italy. They were originally known as the Sicilian Mafia. Their goal was to use fear and intimidation to get rich. They started out by working the farms of wealthy landowners, collecting protection money from them. If the landowners didn't pay up, the Mafia would burn their crops or kill their animals. Over time, the Mafia became more ambitious. They started running illegal gambling rings, brothels, and smuggling operations. Soon they were making more money than they could spend, and they had become a powerful force in Sicilian society. When the Mafia first came to America, they were just a small group of criminals. But they quickly grew in power and influence. Today, there are thousands of mobsters in the United States alone, and they make billions of dollars every year. So how did they do it? How did they go from a small group of criminals to a powerful crime syndicate? The answer is simple. They use fear. The Mafia knows that fear is a powerful motivator. That's why they use it to control everyone around them. One of the ways that the Mafia uses fear to control people is by using violence. You need only look at some of the famous mobsters from years gone by to see how violent the Mafia can be. Guys like Al Capone, Lucky Luciano, and Bugsy Siegel were responsible for hundreds of murders each. And believe it or not, there are still plenty of hitmen working for the Mafia today. It's not uncommon for a mobster to carry a gun. If he sees someone who's disrespecting him, he won't hesitate to use it. That's why you never see mobsters fighting each other in public. They know that one wrong move could end up with them dead. The Mafia also uses fear to control people, because it can be used to silence people. If you know something that could get a mobster arrested, they might try to bribe you to keep quiet. If that doesn't work, they'll threaten you or your family. And if that doesn't work, they'll hurt you or your family. Sometimes they even kill people just to send a message to other people. That's so many mobsters have been sent to prison for life without ever being able to prove what they did. The Mafia is so secretive that most people don't know anything about it. That's why they're so powerful. When you combine secrecy with violence, you create a very dangerous combination. The Mafia also uses fear to control the government. They know that politicians are just like everyone else. They're motivated by money and power. That's why they'll often bribe politicians to turn a blind eye to their activities. If that doesn't work, they'll threaten the politician or his family. And if that doesn't work, they'll ruin the politician's career. The Mafia has been able to do this because they've been able to stay hidden in the shadows for so long. Most people don't know anything about them, which gives them a lot of power over the government. If you want to know just how much power the Mafia has, just look at what happened in the 1980s, when a war broke out between the families. Hundreds of bombs were set off, dozens of people were murdered, and millions of dollars were laundered. All of this was done in broad daylight, and the government couldn't stop it. The Mafia was more powerful than the government. So the next time you hear someone say that the government is corrupt, just remember that it might not be the government that's corrupt, but the Mafia. These days, the Mafia isn't as powerful as it once was, but it's still around. It's just evolved with the times. For example, back in the day, the Mafia used violence to control the numbers racket. They would place bets on sporting events and then use violence to collect the money. These days, the Mafia has moved on to more sophisticated crimes like financial fraud and white-collar crime. However, they still use fear to control people. For example, if someone in the Mafia finds out that you're a rat, they will kill you. Even if you're in witness protection, the Mafia will find you and kill you. There's no greater fear than the fear of death. And that's what the Mafia uses to control everyone around them. Let's take a look at a few of the things that the Mafia uses to spread fear. One of the most common things that the Mafia uses to spread fear is the threat of violence. As we mentioned before, the Mafia is a violent organization, and they're not afraid to use violence to achieve their goals. If you're in the Mafia, you know that you could be killed at any moment. This creates a lot of fear among mobsters. They're always looking over their shoulder, wondering who's out to get them. This makes it easy for the Mafia to control them because they're too afraid to disobey orders. To make matters worse, if you're in the Mafia and you get killed, there's no justice. The police won't do anything about it. In fact, they'll probably cover it up. This is because the Mafia is so powerful that they can control the police. If you go to the police and tell them that you're in the Mafia and someone threatened to kill you, they're probably not going to believe you. Even if you have evidence to back up your claim, the police are still not going to do anything. That's how powerful the Mafia is. Another thing that the Mafia uses to spread fear is secrecy. As we mentioned before, the Mafia is a very secretive organization. They don't want anyone to know what they're doing. This secrecy creates a lot of fear among mobsters. You're not sure what's going on or what's being planned against them. This makes it easy for the Mafia to control them because they're too afraid to ask questions. If you're in the Mafia and you don't know what's going on, you're more likely to make a mistake. If you make a mistake in the Mafia, it could get you killed. The last thing that the Mafia uses to spread fear is power. As we mentioned before, the Mafia is a very powerful organization. They have a lot of money and influence. This power creates a lot of fear among mobsters. They know that the Mafia is more powerful than the government. This means that they can't go to the government for help. If you're in the Mafia and you're being abused, you're not going to call the police. You're too afraid of what the Mafia will do to you. This makes it easy for the Mafia to control mobsters because they know that they can get help from the government. So that's how the Mafia uses fear to control the world. They use the threat of violence, secrecy, and power. Now don't forget that the Mafia isn't just some made-up organization. It's a real organization that exists today. It's a dangerous organization. If you ever get on the bad side of the Mafia, you better run away and hide. If you want to learn more about the Mafia, I suggest you read a book called The Sicilian. It's a great book that will give you a good idea of how the Mafia works. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Also, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the Mafia is still a powerful organization? If so, how do you think they maintain their power? Thanks again for watching. Take care.